You've probably seen pictures of Buddhist monks with their alms bowls, right? But there's this fascinating ancient rule that governs their meals that most of us don't know about. And it's not really about what they eat, but all about when.
Okay, so a really common idea is that monks are only allowed to eat one single meal a day. But is that the whole picture? Well, that's a good starting point, but the reality is actually a little more nuanced and, honestly, a lot more interesting.
So here's the thing. The crucial point isn't really about the number of meals. A monk could technically have 1 or even 2 meals in the morning. The real rule, the core discipline, is all about the timing. No solid food after midday.
This rule actually has a formal name in the ancient Pali language, Vikalah Bojana. It literally translates to eating at the wrong time, and it's a huge deal. It's a key training rule inside the Vinaya. That's the ethical code for the whole monastic community, and it's followed super strictly, especially in traditions like Theravada Buddhism.
So, you have to ask, why? Why was this rule even made in the first place? It's definitely not just some random restriction. It actually serves a few deeply connected purposes that we're going to break down. Training the mind, helping with their practice, physical health, and just the general wisdom behind moderation. All right, first up, let's look at how this really simple rule about food becomes this powerful daily tool for mental and spiritual training. The main goal here is purely spiritual. This is not a diet plan, it's a discipline. Specifically, it's an exercise in taming what's called kāma rāga. That's the really powerful craving we all have for sensory pleasures. By sticking to this rule, monks are actively building resilience, practicing mindful eating, and reinforcing that core idea of renunciation.
I mean, think about it. Eating is one of our most immediate and powerful sensory pleasures. This discipline just creates a really clear boundary. It helps quiet down all that mental chatter and emotional noise that comes from constantly chasing different tastes and the simple comfort of a full stomach, especially in the evening.
Okay, so beyond just training the mind, this rule has some very practical benefits. It's designed to optimize the daily life and, most importantly, the meditation practice of a monk.
And this gets right into the quality of meditation. You know that feeling after a huge evening meal? That drowsiness, that food coma? The Buddhist texts have a name for it, Midday, sloth and torpor. And that sluggishness is seen as one of the biggest roadblocks to deep concentration. So this rule is a deliberate, practical strategy. It's a way to make sure that when it's time for those evening or early morning meditation sessions, which are often the most important times for practice, the body is light and the mind is sharp, clear, and ready to go.
And this is where things get really fascinating. It's a perfect example of how ancient wisdom often contains these incredible insights that modern science is only just now starting to prove. This isn't just about faith, it's also about our own physiology.
The Buddha himself talked directly about the health benefits. In one of the suttas, he spoke from his own experience, telling his monks to follow this practice to be healthier, stronger, and to feel a sense of physical lightness and just comfort.
Let's just look at the clock for a second. If you finish your last solid meal around noon and then don't eat again until the next morning, you're naturally creating a fasting window of about 18 to 19 hours. That sounds familiar, right? It's almost identical to the popular 18-6 intermittent fasting schedule people follow today.
And the benefits are not just stories from ancient texts anymore. Modern medical research has linked this exact pattern of eating to some serious metabolic benefits, like better blood sugar control, less inflammation, basically confirming what the Buddha observed over 2,500 years ago.
Okay, but, and this is a really important but, it's crucial to understand that this code is meant to be practical. It's not some extreme, ascetic practice. It's a middle way that avoids both overindulgence and, self-torture. It is not a vow of total deprivation.
The monastic code is actually surprisingly detailed. It makes these very clear distinctions. So while solid foods, or yavakalika, are a no-go after noon, there are other allowances. Things like strained, pulp-free fruit juices, tonics like honey or ghee, and of course any necessary medicines are permitted. And that distinction is everything. It shows that the main spiritual goal isn't just about not eating. It's about renouncing the specific sensory pleasure that's tied to the act of a full meal. The chewing, the complex flavors, the feeling of a full stomach. It allows for basic energy while still sticking to the core discipline.
And there's a social angle here too, which is pretty clever. Since monks rely on the lay community for their food, this rule makes them easy to support. It just fosters goodwill and protects the reputation of the sangha, which is the entire monastic community.
So, when we put all of these pieces together, what's the big picture? What does this 2,500-year-old practice really have to teach us today?
Well, you can see it's not just a simple rule about food. It's this brilliantly designed, integrated system. It works on a spiritual level to tame desire, on a mental level to sharpen focus, on a physical level to promote health, and even on a social level to create harmony.
Ultimately, this ancient practice leaves us with a really profound question for our own lives. In a culture of 24/7 delivery and endless choice, where everything is available all the time, what might we discover about ourselves by intentionally choosing to just say, not right now? What could a little restraint unlock for us?